Today I'm going to be asking the important questions. What is the first thing you think of when you hear about open season? Now I always wonder what the common man, the common woman would think about open season.
I see you have a bit of a moral quandary there. You're wondering something very important about humanity and the common folk. Well, I'm the man with the common folk answers.
Really?
You silly dumb fuck. There's only one thing that everybody thinks about when they think about open season.
What?
That is the big brown grizzly bear shaking his big voluptuous ass. That is the only thing that you ever need to remember about this film, and it was delightful.
Okay, I guess with that knowledge from the common man, the man who seems to know everything about everybody, every single viewer of this video, is the only thing that there is to remember is Boog's big, voluptuous, bare, thick, meaty ass. And honestly, when I think about it, that's really the only thing that I can remember about open season. I remember a little bit and pieces of the plot, but the main thing I remember is that he eats chocolate, they go into a gas station, and he just starts shaking that thing, getting down and dirty with it. That's really all I remember. But I've apparently also seen the second and the third movie. I know I have. I just don't even remember what they're remotely about. I just know that they're shit. And there's apparently a fourth one that I also have never seen. So I figured, why not take a look at every single open season movie, rank them all from worst to best, and explore if this series was just milked for money, 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 lactate, 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 give us lots of funds, or if it was actually well thought out, and it's an amazing quad trilogy. That's what we're going to be trying to decide today. If you like content just like this, please make sure to like and subscribe. I promise you won't regret it. Now let's finally take a look at every single open season movie. Taking a look at the very first movie, it's going to be Open Season number 1. And in all honesty, going into this movie, I thought it was going to be a nostalgia-filled classic, a return to form for me in a way. I would feel like a little boy watching one of his favorite films again for the first time and just reliving it. It would capture that magic, that beauty that I felt as a young boy, and I would for once in my life feel all the anxiety and stresses just slowly dissipate. That is not at all what happened. This movie is kind of ass, and this is the good one, and I didn't even like it that much. Sure, it gave me a couple of laughs here and there, but this movie is so serious yet unserious at the same time. It tries so unbelievably hard to get you to believe in the character progressions and the character arcs within the movie, but ultimately the way they address everything just makes no sense whatsoever. Like the big climax of Boog saving everybody, he really shouldn't have done that because there was nothing that would lead me to believe that his character should have changed at all. Everybody was just an insufferable penis to him. Like, why would he go through the effort of actually changing? It's just a little bit weird. But regardless of that, let's just talk about the plot for a little bit. The progression of this movie is actually pretty decent until we get about 30 minutes in. The beginning of it is really wonderful, with Boog being shown as his mother comes out, who is just a human being, a park ranger lady. She's about to get into her van, and that's when Boog is all like, big old bear grizzly noises, and she has the audacity to roar back at the grizzly, roaring at him louder than he could, with more chutzpah, with more everything, thicker, better in every way. And I know damn well that there was a young teenager sitting in the movie theater for this film, and their entire world changed. They saw this woman roar, and they went home that night, got out a journal, and just started writing, I need a muscle mommy, I need a muscle mommy, I need a muscle mommy, domination, 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 because they saw the power of this woman to submit a grizzly, and everything changed from that moment on. That was actually my first thought while watching this movie. I was like, wow, that was pretty passionate and wonderful way to address how awesome this girl is. Somebody definitely wants to get dominated now. A little bit freaky. So then they start going into town, and we just get to see that Boog is very adjusted to his human lifestyle, where he has a show, he just has all this nice stuff, and eventually he's just sitting in the back of a van. There's a deer that's on the hood who appears to be dead, and that's when we get introduced to the villain Shaw, which I do actually like him a lot. I actually wish he was explored a lot more in the movie, because he has like this, they treat him kind of like he's schizophrenic in a way, like he's just delusional about everything, but in a way he's also the most sane guy in this movie, but they don't make him sane in the sense where you you could root for what he's doing because he is a bad person, but he is technically right, especially with the end of the movie. So he's like, oh, well, I know it's not open season yet, but, well, I guess I was afraid. There was a deer in the middle of the road, and I hit him, and it breaks my heart to do such a thing. And it shows the flashback where Elliot was just sitting off the side of the road, just minding his own business, and he just, like, went 100 feet off the road to brutally hit him. Which, I mean, if you're trying to get some dinner on the table, I guess I see why you would do such a thing, but Shaw clearly just wants to mount him on the wall, which is also weird because when they go to Shaw's house later in the movie, you can clearly see that Shaw has already killed a deer, a much thicker, a much sexier deer even, than Elliot. Elliot is clearly a runt, was only fed sticks as a child, so I don't know why he wants this skinny, disproportionate deer on his wall, but hey, I don't know the lifestyle, I would never do such a thing, so I can't really relate. Either way, Boog, feeling bad for the deer, unties him and says, "Run off, buddy," and just hearing the word buddy, this triggers a mutation inside of Elliot's body to where he's like, friendship. Yep, so he really wants to be friends with Boog, like extremely badly, just so desperately he wants to be all up in Boog. And they really try to establish their friendship for like 2 minutes in the entire film as being something you could root for, but in all actuality, there is nothing to cling on to in terms of them being friends. Genuinely, there is one scene in the entire movie where they actually have common ground with each other, and it's just kind of fucking dumb that they try to act like this is a great friendship. So Boog goes home, and then Elliot finds where he lives, and decides to take him out for a night on the town, luring him out with chocolate of debauchery. And that's the best way to describe chocolate in this movie. It just causes immense amount of debauchery, you know, all of a sudden your nips are hard, you don't know what to do, you need to go stand out outside and start screaming, "Oh! I'm filled with sugar and joy." You know, that's just what the chocolate does to you in this movie. So they go to the gas station, and we finally get to see the Boog twerking scene as they eat a lot of chocolate. Boog just throws that thing voluptuously everywhere. And it's actually a really fun scene. I like them goofing off in the gas station. This is the most memorable scene in the movie, and I'm just talking about his ass for the meme of it, but it is actually a lot of fun. And then it's everything after this that I don't really enjoy. They go home and they do the show the next day. Elliot is running away from Shaw because Shaw sees him walking on 2 legs, and he's like, "That's my buck!" And he just starts chasing him all over the place, just yelling that he needs him. And it looks like Boog is murdering Elliot behind a shadow, and that is when Boog gets shot with a tranquilizer dart, and Boog has to be taken to the wilderness. And once they get to the wilderness, that's where the movie really drops off for me. There's a couple of things I like, but the majority of it is just 30 minutes of Boog complaining non-stop about how, "Oh, this is hard. Oh, this is hard. This is so hard." And then there's like some sprinkles of some magic in there, some innovation, some things that could actually get me to laugh. Like when he walks up to a tree and there's this squirrel who's like, "Oi, you can't touch McSquizzy's little tree there. You can't do that, bruv. This is my tree." And he just has a squirrel army to pelt him down. Fire! I enjoyed that aspect. I thought that was fun, but then it just goes right back to complaining over and over and over again. And then there's this entire scene where he has to take a shit. He has to take a big meaty dump in the forest, and because he's been so adjusted to a toilet, we have to spend 5 minutes watching Boog struggle to take a mean dumper while everybody watches him. I'm working here. And I don't know, like, it's kind of funny. Maybe it would be more funny if I was a kid again, but I just didn't like it very much. I just thought I was wasting my time. Just, yes, let's have him complain for 10 minutes and then struggle to take a mean stinker. I don't know. It was just a little weird. He goes around, he struggles to catch fish, so he's hungry. I actually do like this one scene in which Elliot sees a doe. He sees a beautiful woman that he must go and see, and so he goes to sneak up to her, and that's when we get Patrick Warburton's character, which I don't think was used enough. I don't know why Patrick Warburton is just always, you know, selected to play the big, meaty, muscular man, but I really do enjoy it.
Hello. goes.
I thoroughly enjoy it with him just be like, "Hey, Smelliot, what are you doing here? I thought you weren't allowed here." And he doesn't really say any like really quotable things here, like, you know how in the B movie he's all like, "Why is Yogurt Night so difficult?" You know, stuff like that. But here, just nothing too special. I think he says, "I'm too pretty to die." Just stuff like that, but it's really not enough use of his character. I do like his design. He's a really giant deer. He's bigger than Boog. They make fun of Boog. They roast Boog. He beats Elliot, and the Elliot's woman leaves him once again, and that sucks for good old Elliot. And then once again, they just start walking around for a while after defeat of losing to the big, thick, mogging deer. So they do that for a while, and then it's nighttime, and we get the only scene in which they actually connect at all. Every other scene, they don't do anything, but here, they start talking about how Boog doesn't know how to do anything in the forest, and Elliot is a loser. This is the only scene in which they bond, and it lasts about a minute and a half. Genuinely. And I'm supposed to believe that Boog actually cares for this guy. And then the next day, they find out that Boog has been led in a circle the entire time because Elliot has been lying to him and just trying to keep him around so they can be partners. So Elliot's lying to him. Everybody in the forest has been treating him like dog shit. So Boog walks on the dam. The entire dam gets destroyed, and they all float down all the way to the hunting grounds. So now their entire lives are in danger. And I think it would work well if they developed Elliot and Boog a little bit more to actually seem like they should be friends, because they really shouldn't. Boog, he finds Timberline, and he wants to go there, but he makes the harrowing decision to go back and to save everybody. And it's just, why? Why would he do that? Like, I understand that Boog might have a little bit of a moral compass, but it just genuinely makes no sense for him to view this as the type of situation where, oh man, I should go and save everybody who's been treating me like dog shit, letting me starve, watching me take a mean stinker. Elliot has been leading me through the forest with no real ambition and no real motivation to take me home, just trying to keep me as a little prisoner with him. There's no reason for Boog to go back, but he does. And I'm happy he does, because it does lead to a pretty good ending where they fight back against the hunters. They do a lot of really good stuff there, and I enjoy it for the most part. So they defeat the hunters. We get a good final battle against Shaw, and he just wraps his legs in the gun. That was fun. It's a good ending, and Boog decides to stay in the forest with everybody. And overall, I think it's a fine movie. I think it's decent. If I was to rate it 1 to 10, I would probably give it a 6 out of 10. But this movie does not capture the magic that it had when I was a kid. Genuinely, those 30 minutes of Boog complaining is just flat out painful, because they don't really do anything fun in that time. It's just Boog complaining. But the finale of the movie, like the final 20 minutes and the first 20 minutes, is pretty much perfection. If the entire movie was like that, it would probably be a 9 out of 10 movie. But just those 30 minutes in between genuinely pissed me off with so much complaining. Taking a look at Open Season 2, this movie is a lot better than I thought it was going to be, especially for a direct-to-DVD sequel, but it does have some glaring problems. The movie focuses on Mr. Weenie getting kidnapped, and Elliot and Giselle potentially having their wedding. And focusing on those two things was a grim and dark mistake, because the Mr. Weenie plotline is a lot more interesting than Elliot being a piece of shit. It's like that philosophy that really old men have when they, like, walk into a restaurant or something and you ask them how they're doing, and they're like, "Oh, well, you know, the old ball and chain is holding me down." Why'd you marry this woman then? Why are you gonna marry her? Like, genuinely, when I worked at a diner, the same old guy would come in every single day, and like multiple old men, and they would just constantly say shit to make their wives feel fucking awful, or constantly stare at the 18-year-old waitress and be like, "Oh, God, I wish my wife looked like that." Like, what the fuck are you doing? That's basically what they turned Elliot into for this movie, for the major portion of it, and it's just weird. Like, the beginning of it, Elliot has a giant rack, some huge antlers, not a booby rack, but just a rack in general, and he breaks it, so that makes him worry a little bit. But then he goes to the altar, and Giselle literally turned down Ian, even though Ian was like, "Oh, come on, Giselle, I know you want a beefcake instead of a pansy."
Oh, and Giselle, there's still some time if you'd rather be served some beefcake instead of the pansy loaf.
That's literally what he says. And she just wants to be with Elliot. She really is all about that twink body, and Elliot hears forever and ever and no longer wants to be with the woman, which just makes no sense. Like, no, this woman loves me, cares for me, sleeps next to me, tells me I'm great. Oh, I can't fathom being with a woman who loves me. Oh God. It's just a really dumb trope that is done in so many forms of media that I'll just never understand. I really don't get it, especially for a character like Elliot. It's like they forgot in the first movie that all he wanted was for everybody to love him and to cherish him and to want to be a part of something, and he was literally chasing after Giselle. So now that he has her, he has somebody to be with for the rest of his life. He doesn't want it anymore. It's just weird. At the same time, they see Mr. Weenie, the wiener dog who escaped in the first movie, get kidnapped by his previous owners, so that's what they start to focus on. And it's fine, it's serviceable, it's entertaining, it's just not really good anytime Elliot is on screen for the majority of it. They eventually start their search for Mr. Weenie, and we get introduced to the villain of this series, or this movie, and that is Fifi, this little poodle dog who I actually think is pretty goddamn entertaining. I was really worried because in the initial introduction, the initial scene, he's just all pampered up on a pillow, and he's with a beagle, and the beagle just starts going, oh, I need to poop. Oh, I need to release the thunder, the kraken within. I need to shit. And so Fifi goes and throws up, so they stop the trailer. But then they luckily redeem themselves with Fifi's backstory, where he went into a bush and saw a bunch of scary rabbits and stuff, so now he hates the wild and he got shocked by a bug zapper.
Eyes and then the unspeakable. What happened?
So he's going to be the villain because he hates the wild and he wants to completely get rid of it, which I thought was interesting for this movie. And we also have this cat introduced who I don't really think was very interesting. They add so many nothing burger characters, like this cat who sees this other fat cat and he's like, Roger, it's been ages. I want a girlfriend.
Finally, it's been ages.
Actually, it's been exactly 1 year, Roger.
Really?
And that's like that's like for a lot of scenes, he's the main focus for comedy, and he just sits there saying stupid shit in a really stupid voice, and you just have to question why he was added to the movie. But I guess sometimes I like him, so I guess I'm just complaining a little bit too much. So they then find Mr. Weenie at this gas station, and they try to get him back. We get this entire scene of them tormenting a gas station clerk, which was very entertaining. But then it pisses me off because they managed to strangle Mr. Weenie out of his chained up collar, and he's free. And then they all start running out of the trailer because they seem to think that they saved him. But he's literally screaming, "Nine! Nine, wait for me! Nine, Mr. Weenie, wait for me!" as he's getting left behind, and then they drive away with him again.
Wait for me! I have teeny legs! I did it!
That was just completely and utterly fucking stupid. And then Elliot just turns up his annoyance to the max level, where he just immediately starts going, "All right, General Giselle, look what you did. They got away with Mr. Weenie. They got away with him. Oh, now I have to spend my entire life listening to you."
Real surveillance a good idea? All right, General Giselle.
It's just so out of nowhere, and it's so stupid. Like, I understand being afraid for forever and ever, but why are you gonna start insulting her? Literally, all she's done in the movie so far is say, "I'm your partner, I'm there for you, I'm here if you need anything. Are you worrying about something with the wedding? I'm here to reassure you, I'm here to care for you, I'm here to be there to support you, Elliot. What can I do for you?" And this man just starts insulting her and saying that he doesn't need her and he has to go away. And it's so stupid. It's so unbelievably dumb. So they then have a scene where Mr. Weenie goes back and encounters Fifi and all of them, and I don't know why they had to make the voice actors do this, but all the dogs come up, and it sounds sensual in a way when they start sniffing Mr. Weenie, and he's like, oh yeah, the greeting, oh yeah, and it made me uncomfortable to the point where I genuinely had to point it out. I know that probably wasn't the intention, but I can't imagine the director saying anything but, okay, all these dogs are going to be sniffing you. I want you to sensually go, oh yeah.
Oh, I've missed you all so much. It's been so long since I've had a proper greeting. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, it's just weird. how he says it. So Fifi then deems him wild because he says he's friends with a bear and whatnot. Oh, excuse me. And so he wants to brainwash Mr. Weenie into being normal again by making him fetch, by making him roll over, by making him be a good guy. And none of it is necessarily working. So they want to kill Mr. Weenie, but Mr. Weenie manages to escape with the help of the porcupine. So they manage to escape. Great stuff. Boog and all of them are still looking for Mr. Weenie, trying to find them, and Elliot is all on his own. And again, it's just really, really stupid, Elliot's progression as a character, because he's sitting there and he's covered in gum, he's all alone, and that's what makes you realize that, oh my god, I've been such an asshole to my girlfriend who cared about me. He sits there, and instead of saying, I love this woman, I want to be with her, and I do need her, I've been going crazy, and I'm scared for all the wrong reasons, he says, oh, I miss when she would take care of me and cover me up and help me with when I'm being anxious and a fool and when I'm cranky and tired. It was just like the most baseline nonsense of complaints, instead of realizing, oh my god, I love this girl. Like, it just felt like he was sad because he was in a horrible, shitty situation and had nobody to bitch and moan to. Elliot's character arc in this movie sucks. But then we get to the water park, which I think is the best part of the movie, with Fifi just going absolutely ballistic, just finding out that Giselle and all of them are there and wanting to kill them all, tying them up, putting shock collars on them, wanting to kill them all. Elliot tries to save them but also gets tied up, and Fifi just absolutely loses it on them, is about to kill them. Elliot does the shittiest confession of love I've ever seen, where he's like, I didn't know if I wanted to be with you, but I actually do want to be with you. I care about you. I like you. I know we've been together for a pretty long time, but I just realized that I actually do love you. Oh shit. Oh my god. Wow. And so Fifi almost kills them, but Boog manages to save them last minute, and then Elliot and Fifi fight in the pool over the electric shock collar controller, and then he ends up switching it onto Fifi's body, thus frying Fifi, saving the day, and Elliot and Giselle end up tying the knot and getting married. And oh, Mr. Weenie. Mr. Weenie, I can't leave this out because it's stupid. Mr. Weenie in the first movie, he clearly showed a immense desire to leave his mother because she was smothering him. He didn't like it and he wanted to be free, and he absolutely loved being in the wild. He felt like he was finally living his life. For half of this movie, Mr. Weenie does not want to go back with that woman, thus deeming it slavery. He doesn't want to do it. He fights against it for 45 minutes. And then his switch up moment is he sees all the other dogs at this dog water park having fun, and then all of a sudden he's like, 9, I need my mother. And so he goes to stay with the mom and leaves. And it just feels so out of nowhere. It just feels like they wanted to create a wholesome moment out of nothing, but they didn't really build that up very well. Either way, I have an immense problem with the character arcs in the movie, but everything else is fun. I liked their search for Mr. Weenie. I thought it was entertaining enough. All the scenes in the water park were pretty good. Again, it's a direct-to-DVD sequel, so hearing almost every single voice actor not the same except for Ashton Kutcher, of course Ashton Kutcher would want to voice Elliot, was a little bit jarring for this movie. The animation definitely took a hit. I did not like it as much, but overall, it's still a decent, serviceable second movie. I think it could have been, tied into the first movie a little bit more, but again, the character arcs are really what hold it back. If I was to rate this one 1 to 10, I would give it a 4 out of 10. I think it was entertaining. I think the concepts introduced were a lot of fun, but again, the characters were abysmal, except for Fifi. Fifi was a great little poodle villain. Now taking a look at Open Season 3, this one tackles Boog going to the circus to find love because he wants to see some other grizzly bears. And this movie honestly fucking sucks in every single way. It tries to juggle so many different characters. You have every single character that was in the first movie almost. You have every single new character plus the old characters that were in the second movie, and then you introduce even more characters in the third movie. It's honestly insane. Some of the characters work, some of them just exist, and it's just kind of baffling that they decided to pay probably 35 different voice actors for this one movie. It's a little bit crazy because this is the direct-to-DVD sequel of a sequel. It's just so weird, man. It's so weird, and these movies are just aspiring to make me an Elliot hater because for the first movie, he tricks Boog. He's annoying to Boog the entire time, and he just wants pity. He wants forgiveness when he's the main cause of all the problems. In the second movie, he's like, oh, that old ball and chain. Oh, God, I hate
find the woman that loves me. Oh God, I just struggle so much with that. Oh God.
And then in this movie, I literally wrote down in the beginning of it, because in this movie, we get to see Elliot's children. He has a son and 2 twin girls. And I literally wrote down at the beginning, Elliot being a good dad is wild. I wrote that down. That's one of my notes for the movie. And oh, how as time went on, did he begin to disappoint me more and more and more. Boog, he wants to go on a guy's trip and everybody cancels on him, so he ends up climbing up this mountain and he finds the circus and he decides to go there to be with grizzly bears, and he does just that. And the entire time, Elliot, he gets this like weird manic delusion that Boog is the problem constantly, when Elliot just for 2 weeks wouldn't tell Boog that he couldn't go on this big trip, and then Elliot, after Boog leaves, he's just in denial, he's in delusion, he's having a episode in which he just constantly keeps saying, we don't need Boog, I don't even like Boog, I'm glad he's gone. Like, why are we doing the same plot with Elliot for the 3rd goddamn time where he's just a nuisance? Boog at the circus, he ends up switching places with another grizzly bear that looks just like him, who wants to go out into the forest so that he could basically be king, and tricks Boog into like this, saying that he's going to come back, but that's not actually his goal. He's never going to come back. He wants to go and live that good life away from the circus. Boog, he meets Alistair, this llama who is introduced in the movie, and I don't like Alistair very much because he's such a rushed character in every way. And he also meets Ursa, which is a female Russian bear, and Boog, he felt his giblets increase for the very first time, and all of a sudden that was his main goal. He wants to get with Ursa, and it's a decent enough plotline. I actually do like their love story, although it feels very rushed for them to actually get together. I think it's one of the better parts of the movie. Everything with Alistair is really stupid, though. He's this llama who's like, oh, Boog, we have to have a guys chat. We need the guys chat. And he really, like, wants to connect with Boog because apparently a female llama left him and abandoned him. So he's really insistent on being around a man and needs the man's touch and Boog's touch. And the entire thing is to give Boog this awesome character arc where he was upset that everybody flaked on him, and then he ends up flaking on Alistair. So he realizes that he's been a big old meanie pants. And again, just the character arcs suck in every single one of these movies, like every single time. I don't care about their full circle moments. I don't care about the characters having the most pointless realizations that, like, takes 2 brain cells to understand. It's pretty wild. So we then have Mr. Weenie seeing a ad for the circus, and he sees a grizzly bear. So everybody, including Fifi, the villain from the last movie, go to try to save Boog. And Fifi returning is one of the major highlights, because Fifi has this entire persona where instead of being really angry the entire time, he now has ways of dealing with his anger, which actually leads to a lot of comedic moments, like him juggling his metal balls, freaking out over random things. An entire trailer flipping over, and he's just doing like the peace and calm meditation pose. I think Fifi was a major highlight of this movie, but still not gonna save it really. I don't really care. So Doug, he's the bear that Boog switched places with. He gets out to the forest, and the twins, Elliot's daughters, figure out that it's not Boog. And I actually think the twins are good characters as well. I wish we explored them more instead of adding all these pointless shit-ass characters that I just don't care about. Boog and Ursa, they form a connection over 30 minutes after they start doing a bunch of circus tricks together, and they start dancing together and falling in love just a little bit. Elliot just continuously pisses me off over and over again because he's just crying and panicking the entire time, complaining constantly. He's so unbelievably annoying in every single role that he's in. I hate his stupid deer features. It makes me upset because he's just crying because Boog doesn't like him, and then Doug shows up, and then all of a sudden he's sucking up to Doug, but he actually hates Doug and doesn't want to talk to Doug, and he's just a big old complainer. He pisses me off. Then we cut back to the circus once again, and Boog and Ursa, they start dancing, and the music in the background is cats meowing. I actually thought that was beautiful and probably my favorite part of the entire movie, and that says a lot about the quality of the movie, is that I really like cats meowing to be my pinnacle of this film. That's not very good. So eventually everybody figures out that Doug is not Boog because he's very mean, and they start beating him up, and they tell him that he's at the circus, so they have to go to the circus and get Boog back before they get taken back to Russia. And we get a bunch of shenanigans there where they just break in, try to watch Boog. Boog ends up doing this awesome dance with Ursa, catching her, and they fall in love, and they decide to leave the circus together, and that's pretty much the end of the movie. Alistair and Doug go back to the circus, and they go to Russia, happy ever after. It is just a complete and utter waste of time of a movie. I don't even want to talk about anything else. Genuinely, everything feels so unbelievably rushed. There is a scene where Doug, after spending the entire movie being an asshole, he has a realization, oh man, I do have a friend like that, after seeing how many friends Boog has, and then he decides he wants to be friends with Alistair again, and it happens out of nowhere. That is the big theme of all of these movies. Characters just realizing stuff for absolutely no reason. It's just so stupid how many character arcs they throw into these movies with 35 characters, so every character can go on this awesome journey, and they all realize things for no reason. It just happens, and it's so stupid. But this one was okay. It wasn't the worst thing that I had ever watched, but I would definitely never want to watch it again. If I was to rate it 1 to 10, I would probably give it a solid 2 out of 10. It's just the plot is all over the place. There's some things that are actually funny, but they only last for a smidge of the plot. Everything else is just nonsensical bullshit that I just don't care about. Now taking a look at the fourth and final movie, Open Season Scared Silly. Now this is definitely the one that I genuinely never knew existed. I can't believe after that trilogy, they decided to make more. There's no way that these movies are profitable, especially after the first one. There is no way enough people were being like, Open Season 3! and buying that. I just can't fathom it. It's so unbelievably odd that this franchise could go on for so long. And this movie, it's a much more faithful sequel to the first one. It just completely, gets rid of everything that happened in the second and third one. It doesn't exist anymore. Elliot's children, they're fucking dead for all I know. They fucking died in a house fire. Either way, it is a much more faithful sequel, but it still blows. It blows bad. Of course, there's some things that I do like about the movie, but there's a lot of problems with it. Specifically, I think Elliot says over 100,000 words in this movie, and if watching all of these movies has taught me anything, it's that Elliot is one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in all of fiction, and he says so much shit in every single line in this movie. It feels like it's just straight up written by a toddler. I wouldn't be surprised if it had AI in it. Even though it was made in 2015, it genuinely feels like that, with shit like, oh man, well, you know the saying, Boog. Friends never hurt each other. Friends will never betray each other. Friends always come back into each other's lives. You know, it's just a promise to the friend is a promise to the end. They say cringe stuff like that all the time, and that's like the clinging guidance for the movie, and it's awful. The movie starts off with Elliot telling a scary story, which was actually pretty fun. It starts off in black and white, and Elliot's the hero in it until the story ends, and then Boog is very scared, and they want to scare Boog in order to make him more of a brave bear, so he goes into this forest, and Shaw is there. And I like that they brought Shaw back. I think Shaw is great in this movie. And he's a travel guide because apparently in this movie, open season has been banned forever. There's no hunting anymore. So he's a traveler guide. And eventually Ian gets a bunch of werewolf stuff on him, and they think that a werewolf is real. Shaw sees it as well. He thinks that the werewolf is real, so he goes into town and he's going to attempt to get open season back so that he could hunt down the werewolf and get rid of all of that. And honestly, I don't really give a shit about the majority of it. The first 40 minutes are, oh gee, let's help Boog not be afraid. Oh gee, Boog is still a scaredy cat. Oh gee, let's go into town and get all this nonsense back to finding this werewolf. Oh geez, oh gosh golly, it's just not very fun. So Elliot, Boog, and Giselle are hunting for the werewolf, while Shaw and these two random other hicks are hunting for the werewolf. I do say I love this one scene where Shaw's like, well, I guess I could get my gun back. Oh, yeah. And he walks down into the cellar and opens the door, and there's a prim and proper bedroom that is just layered with love and pictures, and it turns out that it's all for his gun, which, living in America isn't that shocking. It's just very obvious that, half of the population, when they see their gun, they're just like, yes, I missed you. They just start doing weird stuff to it. It's just not surprising at all. So for him to have his gun in his own bedroom, that was really funny. And he gets two random people to also help him, who are also like, well, I need my gun, and I need to go and kill that silly deer and that bear and that goddamn werewolf. So they do that, and we get one of the worst scenes out of this entire franchise. Like, genuinely, how are you sitting there writing a script? You have people who want this to get done, and you decide to make an entire 3-minute scene all about feces. Like, limitless potential for the story, you could tell. And you decide to find Elliot. He finds a piece of shit on the ground. He looks at it, and he grabs it, puts it in his hand, which I already wasn't liking, and then he's like, oh, this feces. Oh, the werewolf. Oh gosh, I'll find him very soon. I'll find the werewolf very soon. Oh. And then he has the audacity to shove the feces inside of his mouth, and he just sits there sucking on it for a while. Sucking it dry.
To truly know the werewolf's whereabouts.
No. No.
He's heading north, 7th of 8 kids.
Fecal matter all the way inside of his mouth, sucking that shit dry. And you know, I never really wanted to watch a deer suck on poop, but here I am, you know, just watching a deer just go to town on that poop, just swirling it around, just getting that good old-fashioned feces. God, I'd pay money to see this in theaters. Oh, Lord, the comedy. And then we find out that it was the squirrel, McSquizzy's poop. And then Elliot finds it disgusting because it's friend poop, which did not add to the comedy of the scene. And then Shaw does the exact same thing. He finds feces on the ground and starts sucking on it. Why? Why? It's so awful. I don't know why they have to do things like these. Just nothing like watching creatures eat poop. God, I should go and get myself a nice bowl of poop, nice bowl of feces. So they then have Boog dress up like a woman to try to lure a werewolf, and then they get in an argument and end up going to this lava mountain where they run away from Shaw, who's trying to kill them. That scene was fun, I guess. I don't know. All I can think about is him sucking on feces again and how it made my blood boil. It really soils the movie a lot. They eventually escape, and then we get a great fucking moment once again because you have to create needless drama where Boog and Elliot get in an argument. Boog leaves him, and then Boog has the realization that, like, oh my god, you're my friend. A friend to the end is forever. And he goes back to save Boog, or Elliot, when Shaw dresses up as a werewolf, and then we get a pretty decent fight, actually, between Boog and Shaw ends up getting arrested. And then we get one of the worst things that I've ever seen in my entire life. Who the fuck wrote this in? Beth, Boog's mom, is not in this movie at all, even though they had many clear opportunities to add her into the film with everything going on. They chose not to. They chose to focus on the police officer dude, Gordy, who was in the first movie, and literally, like, bit for bit, like motion for motion, scene for scene, Gordy walks up to Boog and is like, you know, you're always welcome to come back home. It even does the pan back to the animals to say, Boog's gonna leave us. And then Boog says, I am already home, and goes back to them. That is literally exactly what happens in the first movie. What the fuck was the point of that? Why did that even happen? I didn't like that at all. It was just stupid. It made me feel dumb. That was the dumbest callback I've ever seen, especially with Gordy being the one to do it. Gordy, who had a significantly less of an impact than your own mother. Why didn't they just bring back Beth? Why did they just bring back the park ranger lady? Why did they do the exact same scene? There was no reason for Boog to even want to leave in the movie. The entire reason that scene hit hard in the first movie was because the entire movie was about Boog wanting to go home. Here, Boog never wanted to go home. They just added that for shits and giggles. That was so stupid. God, this movie sucks. This movie sucks. There was a good song, though, thrown in there about the wiener dog. He thinks that he's a werewolf just for like a minute in the movie and has a song about becoming the werewolf. I liked that. Everything else really sucks. Everything else was so unbelievably bad. This was a complete and utter waste of time. This is such a dog shit movie in every conceivable way. I don't think it's as bad as the third one. I'd honestly say, hell, it's even on par with the second. I don't know. I'm gonna 1 to 10. I would give this movie a 4 out of 10. It isn't the worst thing I've ever seen, but it really, the watching them suck on the poop, the just random nonchalant like character arcs that don't exist and then all exist for a second is stupid. That ending was stupid. The only saving graces in this movie were Shaw and a little bit of the scenes from the wiener dog. Everything else was just complete and utter slop. Did not like it at all. Never watching this movie ever again. Oh god. Open Season 1 is honestly a really good movie. I know a 6 out of 10 doesn't really scream, "Go watch this!" But it was a lot of fun. The main issue with all of these movies is the character arcs. Genuinely, I can't say it enough. Characters being 1 second, "Oh, I hate my wife," to 1 second, "Oh my god, I love this woman who has been caring for me." It just doesn't make a lot of sense. And moments like that, they happen constantly in these movies, with Elliot and Boog having an argument and it just resolving for no reason, especially in the first one, where everybody was an asshole to him constantly, and then he decides to go and save everybody with no real reason behind that. If somebody showed him a moment of kindness, then sure, but everybody was so mean to him, it just didn't really make sense for Boog to have a change of heart there. I understand you could have morals and still not want people to die, but for him to want to go back and then want to stay with them, that just felt a little bit weird. And that happens in all of these movies, where they'll just randomly have an argument, everything's fixed, randomly do this, randomly do that, and it's just weird. I think these movies are a lot better when they're just focusing on the silly aspects. Of course, you could have some good scenes with Shaw, especially in the first movie, that can be a little bit serious, but the best parts and most memorable parts are when Boog is twerking voluptuously with his ass. That is very enjoyable. Or Elliot is giving him chocolate bars, or Elliot wants to go and see Giselle, and then a big meaty deer comes out of the woods and is just like, "Hey, you talking to my girl?" Just stuff like that that really leans into the silly side of these movies. I did really enjoy. It's when they try to make you care about these characters going through some shit and they just do it completely and utterly awful, then I just don't think it's that entertaining. But overall, these movies aren't the worst thing I've ever seen. They definitely have their flaws, but I'm never gonna watch them again other than maybe the first one. I wouldn't recommend you do that either. But either way, please like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care of yourself. Bye.